Greetings, my comrades. This is Joe Segura of Blindlight.org. My pen name is Blindlight as well, and I started Blindlight.org because it was offered, made available through YouTube that I could use my Joe Segura account to also have a brand account. So I took advantage of that, knowing also that Joe Segura is on borrowed time with 2 copyright strikes. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, anonymous VK Clark, useful idiot. I have taken to being somewhat conservative with my videos, especially as far as posting teaser pics that I get off Google. That seems to be a prime way in which VK Clark is scrutinizing whatever she can to then make a YouTube claim and get you help to undermine a aware goy. An aware goy that she knows full well about. As of 3 months ago, she saw what I'm capable of doing, and she had to ratchet up her game and call in help. As far as I could tell, that help was Sinead McCarthy, Rodney Martin, and Brandon Martinez, who is the main subject of this interview. The reason we're picking on Brandon today is that Brandon, who I called out last summer when I noticed him uploading tons of pro-Islamic hate porn videos, while hiding many, many articles on his site. I said that he looked like he was going to go through another assignment change, and so I warned people about that. I couldn't say when. I thought that maybe he would get rid of his site and appear somewhere else in a new persona. What has actually happened now is that as of May 14th, non-aligned media is non-existent. All the articles that was on non-aligned media have been deleted as far as I can tell. The video channel that was Brandon Martinez, coincidentally, was taken down by YouTube. Awfully good coincidental timing. And so none of his old videos are up. He did keep his old personal website and scrubbed it, and then beginning on May 14th he started posting some short screeds of his, and these screeds look like they're pretty much defining the Brandon Martinez he wants us to see from now on. Remember, Brandon started off as Zander, the very Jew-wise 20-year-old who basically said that the Jews were the problem. It's a Jew world order, baby. The World War II was only beneficial to Jews, and so on and so forth. They had the fake WWE fight between he and Delaney. I know it was fake because Zander had left his site a month earlier, but they didn't tell anyone. And admin started administering the site, the articles changed, and all of a sudden they claimed to have this fight where Brandon got locked out of the server. Then he created a second site and whined and complained and said he no longer believed in Hitler for 6 months. Then he had Zander disappear. Brandon showed up right at the same time. Lo and behold, even though he had this Jew provocateurish manner about him in his previous life, he had immediate assignments with Press TV, of all people, and several other places. So he started Non-Aligned Media in the fall of 2014. And I became aware finally about 5 months later that Non-Aligned Media was a Zander Fuerza operation being carried on in his place by a guy named Brandon Martinez. While he still outed the Zionist problem and hinted at its severity, he spent a lot less time and got really involved in basically typical political issues as if the Jews weren't the main problem many times. So I pretty much fingered him as an op at that point, and I did a lot of research into all this to where I can now tell you this, and I put them in articles, all created 18 months ago. So I've known Brandon, in my mind, Brandon has been an op um, from the get-go as far as I can tell. He entered the movement as probably a secret Jew pretending to be a goy in an anonymous ID who was very Jew-wise. They often enter very Jew-wise and provocatorial against the people they actually serve, so as to later walk it back, which Brandon is clearly doing with each assignment change, and often beginning to do while he is in an assignment, leading to another assignment, which he did when he was at Non-Aligned Media. He radically changed his advocacy over the last year during the Trump campaign. Just obsessed on Vladimir Putin, as if, and by implication, only obsessing on Vladimir Putin means he's supporting the Western viewpoint, actually, the neocon viewpoint in many ways. And you could tell that by the sites he would link you to support his explanations. One guy comes to mind, two people, Karen Dawisha and Bill Browder, when he was attacking the criminality of Vladimir Putin. Bill Browder has been assigned for the last 3 years for the Fabian Society to go around giving lectures on why Putin is evil. And Karen Dawisha is a scholar trained at Fabian Society think tanks, and has written several books demeaning Vladimir Putin, claiming he's evil, all the while accepting the official conspiracy theory that is called 911. So, I don't know about you guys, but when some brilliant scholar can see through an obvious false flag event, such as 911, not to mention a thing like Sandy Hook, and they refuse to be honest about that, how do we know when they're honest with us? How can we accept them as a source when they proved so bluntly how much they are willing to lie for the power of which they serve? These are questions that need to be answered. So, but I predicted in around August, when I saw Brandon hiding his articles and uploading Muslim porn, that he was in the middle of an assignment change. I guess I jumped the gun because I think it's official now. He he deleted his non-aligned media site, decided that it had been up 3 years, deleted all the articles, scrubbed his personal site, and has uploaded 5 short accounts. 3 that I'm in the process of tackling. 2 articles have already just been written in the last 24 hours by me and are up on my site. I'll link them below this video. And one more I'm planning to write, which is going to be dealing with the Muslim problem he's having on Twitter, who are attacking, who have seen through the Brandon Martinez con and are confronting him on it. And he tries to give a quote-unquote reasonable explanation of why he's had to hide all his articles on 2 different occasions that seem to match with assignment changes, and why that's reasonable, and why when you grow and learn and see beyond earlier years, earlier writings can become irrelevant and should be scrubbed. Um, I can believe that in theory, but I don't believe it in Brandon Martinez's case. So the article I released yesterday, and for what I've been doing lately, is getting a pretty good number of hits. I deal with trying to think. Let me get a reminder and go to my website real quick. Excuse me, I'm on still evolving through a cold. Probably 2 or 3 more days of pretty heavy congestion. That's definitely better than it was a couple of days ago, though. Sorry for this temporary inconvenience here. Well, more or less, this article introduces you to the fact that he is announcing his change in positions and telling us why conspiracy theorizing is becoming an irrelevant thing to do, and false flag interrogation is becoming an irrelevant thing to do, and focusing on 911 is becoming an irrelevant thing to do. So in that article, I basically say that false flags are part of the heart of what it means to problem reaction solution. A false flag provides an immediate problem, the public reacts, and then new things are done to supposedly handle that problem. Now, if it's a fake event, this is obviously subversive to the community these claims are being made in. They're not serving the community, they are serving the people behind the operation. A false flag targets an enemy of some sort for blame, who is an innocent party. This is why false flags always have to be confronted, because if you accept whom the false flag is blaming as the culprit without questioning the event, when there's good reason to question the event, we will be led further and further on the road towards our destruction. The fact that we have so many compromised assets leading our movements and encouraging us to accept the MSM narratives these days does not negate the fact that we need to confront it, and we need to confront it by first debunking our leaders who are actually subversives. I've said this over and over in so many videos. I guess there's different ways to say it, and Brandon Martinez is providing me a new way to say it with his assignment change that for the first time I'm seeing it as it occurs. The Zander Fuerza assignment change to Brandon Martinez, I believed. When he disappeared, I didn't know he showed up immediately as Brandon Martinez, and didn't realize that until a year after the occasion. This time, though, we're watching Zander as he moves to become an alt-right complement to support the alt-right, and we are determined to undermine his efforts as a legitimate form of dissent in his efforts to do so. Of course, the problem is the alt-right is also a compromised op. This is why they're getting together is not going to be hard for him to do, but why we have to, for anybody that's willing to see the truth before their eyes, provide that truth about Brandon Martinez. And that truth is pretty easy to provide if you're willing to look. And this is why I've been making so many articles pertaining to him. He seems to be an inconsequential player in many respects, but make no mistake, Brandon Martinez is a very talented asset, and if he can ever get legs, he could do a lot of destruction for them against us. And this is why we have to just make him disappear. And that by killing him, just making what he's doing obvious to where so many people know that he has to disappear and become somebody else in a different life, or more or less. Today, he focused heavily on Muslim apologists that are false flag advocates. He impugned evil motives to this as far as whites are concerned. He has stressed that there is no common linkage between the various race interests and white interests. Therefore, even if everybody's in on the Jewish globalism problem, there's other things that undermine that, and I would argue that most of those things that undermine that seemingly have been a product of Jewish manipulation behind the scenes. I think Brandon was willing to admit that once upon a time, early in his non-aligned media days, and certainly in his Zander Fuerza days, but because he's an op, this is not unusual to be a severe radical in the beginning and walk it back, and this is what he's doing. It's a pretty status quo behavior scenario that a infiltrator, probable crypto Jew, does when he tries to subvert the Goyim community within which he lives, or the host. So this is just basically touching on it. I think these are the best articles I've written in a while. I have not been serious about writing articles because I've been waiting for inspiration. And because I follow Brandon so closely and I have outed him so well, I have to follow this new series of events where Brandon boldly scrubs his site and tries to justify it as a perfectly rational act. Understand, Jews can make killing your own mom seem like a rational act. So nothing new about Jews finding rational explanations for very irrational behavior. Look for my third article possibly as early as tomorrow. I may even get started on it today. I'm sort of taking a rest now. I have spent probably 15 hours over the last 24 hours putting these two articles together. So what I have to do is reread this article I want to focus my attention on. Whereas I've discovered this interesting YouTube video guy who has also outed Brandon Martinez, Verdant's servant. And Brandon is willing to acknowledge Verdant's servant. What I found with me is he's blocked me from his Twitter. He's blocked me from his site, being able to interact. And he doesn't want to acknowledge me. The few times he has, it's been just to get a jab in, and then he shuts the door again to where no one can respond. Of course, that's typical way to control the dialogue. And how so many have been able to survive when seemingly there was some really bad information that should have taken them down. Two reasons: they control the information around them, the people around them aren't aware that the information's out there, or if they are aware, they're hearing only the target's explanations, and they want to believe them anyway because they already are sympathetic to why these people supposedly exist in their websites and what they're advocating. And it's all bait. When you're an operative for the Jew World Order, your site is meant to throw out bait so you can then herd a certain segment of the host population. I guess this is enough for today. I thank you for watching, and this will be on Blindlight.org. my freest account to do what I want without getting banned for life. You all take care. Look for my article, and I'll post these other articles under my site, under this video. So please read them. I think they're worthy of your attention.